This is the Ross Grimsley Show, brought to you by Mobil 1 Synthetic Oil. It keeps your engine running like new. Synthetic motor oil's trusted protection, the Mobil Advantage. Now, here's former Orioles pitcher Ross Grimsley.
Welcome, everybody. We're here from the live casino hotel studio. I'm here with Stan the Fan and Kyle. How you guys doing?
Doing good. We're doing
all good.
All good. Great.
All systems
Wait,
go.
before we get started, let me tell you about Costa's Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. They're known far and wide from their great steamed crabs and crab cakes, and their nightly specials also include crab cake on Tuesdays, steak night on Wednesdays, big old lobster night on Thursdays. And check out Costas.com to find out more. They also ship their crab cakes anywhere. So Costa's Inn, great. Love Pete and Nick, outstanding. They're you got to go, and I'm sure you've been there a lot of times.
I've been there a lot of times. One of my favorite restaurants, 4100 North Point Boulevard, and the specials are off the charts. Great steamed crabs and great
tremendous
crab cakes.
steamed crabs.
Yeah.
Steamed crabs.
Yeah.
Before we get started, Tyler Skaggs passed yesterday. Just speechless. What can you say? I mean, the Angels have had a lot of tragedies over the years, but this was just out of nowhere. And I think there's a press conference today at 2 o'clock. Enlighten us a little bit more about what's going on.
Have you ever had a teammate die?
Not a teammate. Yeah, I have. Mike Flanagan. We talked about that. But,
I mean, during
the season,
the baseball season.
Not that I can recall. Yeah. I mean, the closest was Thurman Munson, and we had that. He was a Yankee. We battled against each other,
right.
and knew each other from that. And that was probably about as tough a thing when he died in the plane crash. But no, not that I can recall. There's so many people have passed over the years. Right. I just, geez, it's amazing.
I mean, look, they did the right thing canceling last night's game, obviously, and it was.
They announced if they're going to play today.
I'm not sure.
I think they are.
Giancarlo Stanton had a very, I think, relevant and timely post talking about, because he was on the Marlins when, of course, they lost Jose Fernandez.
I'd forgotten about Fernandez.
And he talked about how, like, the emotions of having to go out and play baseball after having lost one of your teammates.
I mean, you're numb.
The trivialness of how it feels to have to go play this game. And he says, as he described, in a fishbowl, right? Like, with people just like looking at you, and you are on display while you're not having time to grieve, and it's a really
that's.
But by the same token, sitting around your hotel or being sent home for a week is not a real healthy thing either. I mean,
right.
All you do is sit around and think about it.
This will hit a lot of people later on, because I know my father died in 1994. And there was so much that I took on to do for the family that I had no time to grieve at that time. And, when you got stuff to do, then all of a sudden later on, whammo, it smacks you right in the face and you go, this really happened. And it's I mean, you don't feel it right now. But as time goes by, it's going to slowly seep in. And God bless his family. That has got to be one of the toughest things.
It's amazing. We were talking before we went on the air, the three of us, and the only two non-pitchers are Munson that we can think of right offhand, and Lyman Bostock.
Yes,
but the majority of them are pitchers. You got Skaggs, you got Darryl Kyle, you got Jose Fernandez, you got Corey Lytle, Nick Adenhart.
Right?
Yeah,
correct. I mean, the Angels have had some catastrophes. I mean, tragedies over the years. Yeah. Like I said, Bostock, Chico Ruiz. Just recently, Valbuena got killed in a car wreck, and I believe Dominican. Yeah. So it's and then you got Ortiz shot. Yeah. I mean, it's really scary.
Like Roseanne,
God bless his family, and our thoughts and prayers are with them, hopefully.
It's like Rosanna Dana used to say, if it's not one thing, it's another. It's very sad, very sad.
Well, Stan, I saw you at the ball game Sunday.
Yep.
And I had the pleasure of doing the suites. I do this every now and then. Every Sunday is Wounded Warriors. They have a suite.
Yep.
I spend most of my time there. I almost... the game was over, and I had a few more suites to do, but I spend a lot of time in there. But one of the things going in there and talking to those guys are priceless. But But I went to a thing a year ago, and it was TAPS. And what TAPS is a tragedy assistance program for survivors. And I sat and talked to this lady, and she had just lost her husband about 8 months ago in Afghanistan.
Right.
And what this group does, they're there for you when you lose a loved one to military combat or associated with that. And I talked to her for a while, and she had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old daughter. And the 3-year-old didn't know her dad, the 5-year-old did. So to sit there and be able to talk to them, when I left, I went home, and that just totally hit me like a ton. It was something that you just can't explain.
I got involved about 5-6 years ago with an organization called Catch a Lift. Have you ever heard of them?
Catch a Lift? I'm not sure.
Lynn Coughlin, whose brother Chris was killed in Afghanistan about 3 weeks after he was deployed there, and Chris was in the military, enlisted after 9/11. And he was single, and he was like 40 years old when he enlisted. And he said, maybe I can save somebody else from being in the way of things. And he gets deployed to Afghanistan. He got killed. He used to use the phrase when he was a workout freak. And he used to use the phrase, I'm going to catch a lift.
Yeah.
So Lynn took this tragedy and started this organization that has helped hundreds and hundreds of wounded warriors. If you are wounded, you've been wounded, you may have lost a limb.
Right.
They buy you gym memberships all around the country, and if you can't get to a gym, they end up buying you equipment for your home.
Right.
And it has saved literally hundreds and hundreds of
these
lives.
groups, as I was leaving, and I didn't realize it at first when I went there, as I was leaving, this lady gave me this medallion. And it's TAPS, and it says what they do, and it was.
And TAPS, of course, is the song the trumpeter
yes,
plays
exactly.
at the funerals of.
But both Wounded Warriors, TAPS, this group, both of them, you can donate to them. They do great work, and they're there, around the clock, 7 days a week, all year, all the time. When all the food and the cards end, they're there.
Yep.
So, back these people. So it was very important. Another thing, you remember the fight that we talked about, 7-year-old game?
Yeah, the 7-year with the 13-year-old umpire, right?
Okay.
And the parents got into a fisticuffs.
Major League umpire Chris Kurkjian
Right.
invited the kid,
Right.
the umpire, Josh Cordova,
Right.
to the L.A.-Colorado game in Coors Field.
So this past weekend.
This
maybe.
past weekend, he invited him to the game.
That's very
cool. The umps have umps care charities, and they do a lot of good things.
Right.
That's just another thing that shows what the umpires do. And I thought that was very special that they did that for that kid.
Hey,
and his family.
We want to remind folks we're broadcasting live in the Live Casino Hotel studios. This is the Ross Grimsley Show, and if you are watching on Facebook Live, please like us and share us, okay?
And we would be, I think it's the pressing topic in Orioles land, and Orioles baseball is, of course, related to after a long, hard-fought campaign by the club to lobby to get Trey Mancini into the All-Star game. Of course, it will be John Means, who is representing the Orioles.
I think that's outstanding. And Machado didn't make it.
Yeah.
But
nor did Harper.
Trey,
the two $300 million players,
right.
neither's an all.
Mancini will probably, I wouldn't doubt that he gets an opportunity to go. Because of injuries or whatever.
You mean this year?
This year, exactly. But 1 year, Sparky told me, I had the numbers to go, but he goes, you got plenty of time to make it. Really?
Now, did you ever make an All-Star team?
1978, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a member of the Orioles?
No.
You were with Montreal?
Montreal.
That was your big comeback season.
My best year was here in Baltimore in 74.
Right.
Which, I took off toward the end.
Right.
But,
Earl took all the credit for that.
That's
right?
fine. That's fine. We had some great stories. I don't have enough time to tell them. I was telling them at the ballpark the other day with Rocco Baca and I forget, but we were telling the stories, and they brought it up, and I said, let me tell you another one. So we're sitting there, great time.
Did the All-Star game mean anything back? The players probably cared to an extent, but did it have any implication at all for the season?
Let me tell you, me and Steve Rogers made the All-Star team in '78. They didn't have our plane right, our reservations. The Phillies took us in and took us around and put us where we were supposed to be.
Where was the game played?
In San Diego.
In San Diego.
San Diego.
Not a bad place.
Did Palmer start that game?
I have no idea. All I know is
sure he did.
Flanny made it. We met each other at the pitcher's mound after the game because neither one of us pitched in the game.
Right.
So that was our big thing. But I was just sitting in the clubhouse with these guys. I'm sitting here with all these all-stars, and I told a fish out of water.
Here with all these great
I'm sitting here with all these great players. You got to be kidding me! I didn't even think that I was on the team. I'm sitting there with these guys.
Now you played in both leagues, but you played in the All-Star game in the National League. That seems to be not the tail end, but about 3/4 of the way through an absolutely amazing National League run where the National League won like 19 out of 20 or something like that.
Right.
Because the American League originally dominated it until the advent of the African-American players and the Latin players kicked in the National League, and then they took over for 20, 25 years.
It was, like I said, I was in awe. It was... it's a big thing.
Was it a prideful thing for the players though? Like for the American League versus the National League, was it just it's fun to be here as a group, or was it I want to win?
It's fun, but as a professional, once the game starts, you get let's go. We're out here. Let's play. Because I'll tell you something that happened. We had a reunion game, the Reds against the Oakland. And we'd been out of the game for a while, but you still wanted to beat them because they beat us in the series.
No, I
want to kick your butt now.
I didn't play, Kyle, of course, but I was a keen observer of it. The National League, when they started to win and turn the tide, they really had a pride. They wanted to beat the American League every single year. It meant a lot to them, and there was no thing like the winner gets the home field advantage then.
Well, I wonder exactly how that. I mean, I think probably. Realistically, it's hard to have to ask guys during the middle of the season when they're supposed to kind of be on a break to try and go and fabricate the competitiveness that they experience.
It's a different attitude now compared to back then.
For whatever kind of corporate now.
And you want your time off, and it's not as. It was to me to go to the All-Star game was such a privilege.
Although you got to think that's exactly how John Means feels, right? Like,
I know exactly how he feels. That is so. He is so elated. He probably, you probably don't want to pitch him now because he probably won't be.
They're pitching him. That's why they shifted the rotation of the Orioles is to give Means more of an opportunity. They've moved Bundy from Wednesday to Friday, and Means is going to pitch Wednesday, which will put him in line to pitch if need be.
Right. It's he is and deserving. Absolutely. You take a look at the offense, the defense of the Orioles, the relief pitching. This guy's had a pretty good year. Now the big thing: finish the year strong and come back and do it again next year. If he does it next year, this guy's legit. Now he's got a tremendous, change up. A fastball command obviously has been good, been okay.
He can run it up to 94. And from the left side, that's
no, exactly. But he's around the plate. He's got a tremendous, and his breaking ball is okay. If it gets better, then you're going to have an elite, and that's the big thing.
His next step is cutting down. His pitch count is very similar to Bundy's, where he's always at 100 about fifth inning.
But understand something now. That this is the game today. It's about throwing the ball to have him swing and miss. You get a guy on first base. It used to be let's get the double play.
Right.
Pitch away from contact. Get as many strikeouts as you can. That's going to jack your pitch count up.
And his strikeout numbers are more pedestrian. He's a 7.2 per 9 guy. He's not like, wow. But the fact that he's you can't understate the fact of how well he's consistently pitched on a team that has no real expectation on a daily basis.
That's the reason he
winning.
made that. And somebody took it into consideration what he's done with the team that he's on. And
I want to caution everybody out there, though. There's a reason they call that second year thing the sophomore jinx.
Absolutely.
And that is because sometimes you go back and want to do the exact same thing. And what's really necessary is you need to change a little.
And it's also
because they're anticipating
you
what
make
you're
adjustments.
Doing.
As Glenn mentioned on Glenn Clark Radio yesterday, and aside from the point that he said that essentially the reason Means made it was a roster issue more so than him being more deserving than Trey Mancini.
No question
but
about
beyond that, there are plenty of all-stars who have made the team after a torrid first half, and then by season's end, their numbers look a lot more pedestrian. He's still got work to do in 2019.
Sure.
His skill set is certainly a lot more sort of valuable to the manager of the American League team than Trey. And that's not to knock Trey. There are just 15, 18, 20 guys that are sort of have a similar skill set that you could flip a coin based on numbers. So Trey Mancini shouldn't get down about this. Do you think he gets down about it a little bit?
He probably expected it.
Yeah.
Probably more because of the hoopla that was made of it.
But with his makeup, maybe he gets a little bit. He uses it as motivation.
He said the toughest thing was telling his parents, his family, that he didn't make it because he had expected it and kind of been acting as though it was going to be good news.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
But that's that's part of the sad part about it all is that we as Orioles fans and the community have been operating under the assumption that it would have been him. But so it's easy to understand.
It's a very special thing. It's like the home run used to be. That was a very special thing. It's not that special now because everybody
should be fun
hits
this
them.
year, though, for what it's worth.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, we've got Tim Kurkjian coming up in a few minutes, but I got to get a word in edgewise about the games played over the pond.
I wanted to mention that. I was going to mention
17 to 13, 12 to 8. The Londoners saw a lot of scoring and a lot of time. That game on Saturday was, 4 hours and 22 minutes?
And it's so weird because the Yankees and Red Sox usually play the quickest games in all of baseball.
Yeah,
They had 600 volunteers that sat in the stands and was trying to teach them about the game.
Yeah.
But the big thing, they had the mascot race over there.
Right.
Now, you know who was in it? Okay.
No, I have no idea. I didn't see it.
Let me find Freddie Mercury from Queen, Winston Churchill, Henry VIII.
That is great.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Oh.
So they had a four.
My money would be on the Loch Ness Monster.
Okay. Kyle, who do you think?
Freddie Mercury.
Yes, he did.
He won?
He won. He came from behind. He won because he is the champion, my friends.
He is the champion.
But I thought that was pretty good.
They have played, apparently, the Red Sox and the Yankees have played historically over 2,000 times. I heard this last night. Mel Antman mentioned it on Masson. This was the third longest game in history between these two teams, and it just happened to be the first game.
Well, if
I was over there, I would have,
I'm sure there's a few ales,
and it's also it's better that it took long because of runs than it did because of Bartolo Colon on the mound taking 25 seconds between the pitch.
385 feet to center field.
So what's your take on this? And immediately the commissioner announced, "Hey, we're scrapping the season opener in Asia next year," which I found very weird that they announced it in the midst of this thing, and he talked about how we're going to try and play more games in Europe. Do you see a positive out of this?
Expansion, and I want to bring this up with Tim Kurkjian about this. I want to see his thoughts on it, but I just expanding. I mean, it's tough enough to get pitching now and players, and the way they're rushing players to the big leagues, and where they're eliminating the older guys who can be helpful for a lot of teams, that's going to be a problem. But it's all about that mighty dollar. Yep. And that's, I think Europe has, now they played baseball on 4 continents.
Played in Mexico, Canada.
We're
contiguous.
North America,
Australia,
Japan, Australia, and Europe. Yeah. So they played in 4, but it's all about the buck. If they can get money, but you just really water it down even more, which really can be a problem.
All right, we're going to take a break here real quick, just a short one on the other side, though. We will catch up with ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kurkjian. This is the Ross Grimsley Show.
This is Ross Grimsley. Join Pressbox and myself at Sliders on Monday, July 8th for the All-Star Home Run Derby from 7 to 9 p.m. I'll be behind the bar as a guest bartender serving drinks and talking baseball. I'm even buying the first 50 people that show up their first Fancy Clancy Pilsner. That's right, the first 50 of you will get your first Fancy Clancy Pilsner on me. That's Monday, July 8th at Sliders Bar and Grill across the street from Camden Yards. The Home Run Derby, Pressbox, Fancy Clancy Pilsner, and me, Ross Grimsley. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/Ross for details.
The Ross Grimsley Show is sponsored by Jerry's Tire, located in Baltimore City, just steps away from Little Italy and historic Jonestown. Jerry's not only sells all the major brand tires like Bridgestone, Michelin, and Continental, but is your go-to shop for everything from oil changes to factory scheduled maintenance. All repairs are backed by a nationwide warranty. The team over at Jerry's has been serving the Baltimore area for over 62 years and are eager to earn your business. Give them a call at 410-685-4330 or visit them online at jerrystires.com to shop for tires and schedule an appointment. That's Jerry's, Gerrys, tires.com.
This is the old left-hander Ross Grimsley. You know, I've always known a little something about special pitchers, but today I'm pitching to you about a very special restaurant, the Costa's Inn. Located at 4100 North Point Boulevard, the Costa's Inn is known far and wide for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes. But get a load of the nightly specials. Monday night is rib night. Tuesday night, crab cake night. Wednesday night, steak night. Lobster nights on Thursday. Friday, Pete and Nick offer a variety of special dinners. Take it from me, Ross Grimsley, I know special, and the Costa's Inn is one hell of a special place.
And welcome back to the Ross Grimsley Show. Today's show is also brought to you by Exxon Mobil. The Ross Grimsley Show, as I said, is brought to you by Mobil One Synthetic Oil. It keeps your engine running like new. Synthetic motor oils, trusted protection, the Mobil advantage.
Joining us now, Tim Kurkjian, ESPN Baseball Tonight and Sports Center. Tim, thank you so much, buddy. I know you came back from Pittsburgh early this morning. Thanks for being with us today.
That's my pleasure, Ross. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm good.
Outstanding. Hey, we got
Tim, how you doing? And Stan the Fan, how you doing?
Good, Stan. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for doing the show today.
Sure.
Tim, we got a few questions for you. First of all, we were just talking about the Boston-New York series in London. What's your take on that?
Well, it was a bit excessive, if you ask me. That's the highest scoring back-to-back games in the history of the Red Sox-Yankee series. And I truly understand the importance of globalizing the game and selling it across the pond and everything else, but when you go into a ballpark where the ball carries like that, the center field fence is 385 feet away, and you send two teams that can hit it out of the park, especially in an era where the ball flies like no other time that I can remember, I think you're asking for a bit of trouble. And it just was too much of a spectacle for me. I mean, they did their best to put on a good show, and I think Major League Baseball did the right thing going over there, but we're going to have to learn the next time that, you got to make sure the conditions are a little bit better, the dimensions are a little bit better, because that was just too many runs being scored in a two-game series.
Hey, Tim, I had to ask you a quick question. I found the commissioner's announcement during the middle of that series that they were scrapping the Asia opening next year and they're going to play more games in Europe. I found that really kind of like almost amateur hour.
Well, again, the commissioner believes, I'm not speaking for him, that, we've done pretty well in Korea, Japan, and, we need to go to places where we've never been before. And I totally understand what you're saying there, but there is a danger in doing too much. There is a danger in going to too many places and being too diverse and globalizing too much. But this commissioner realizes that, the game over here is not in the best shape it's ever been, and revenues are up, but, they're always trying to go up even faster. So this is just another way. It's just another of the many experiments that baseball is running and will continue to run. We'll see which ones work and which ones don't.
Tim, you think expansion is in the future, the near future?
I don't, Ross. I think we have plenty of teams as it is. I think expansion would only allow to have 16 teams in each league, and then you wouldn't have to play an interleague game every day. But I think we're fine where we are. I think baseball needs to figure out what to do with the Rays and the A's before they do any sort of expanding. They need to take care of the teams that are in trouble right now, and they're more than just those two teams. So that would make the most sense to me. Plus, I just don't see two cities out there that are ready anytime soon with a major league ballpark and a major league situation, and there's just no way they're going to award a team to a city that has a 14,000-seat stadium. The only reason the Expos moved, or however you want to call that, is because Washington had a 50,000-seat stadium ready to go, and other cities simply don't.
Tim, I follow up to Ross's question, not so much about expansion. There are two schools of thought on this Tampa-Montreal split franchise. One, that it's some kind of gimmick to get one of the two places to really pony up and build a stadium, or two, if you listen to certain people, they say this is the future of sports, split franchises. The concept to me is so foreign that it sounds like that's a lot of gibberish. I'm not sure, though.
Well, it sounds foreign to me, too, and I think it's the former here, that this is a way to try to get the people in St. Pete and the whole, that whole Tampa area going to find a site and get a new ballpark for that team. And the threat of leaving, even on a part-time basis, might be enough to get some people in gear, but it's really, really tricky when St. Pete has a lease through 2028, and they're not about to let their team leave for 41 games. So I just don't see a split situation working with Montreal, and I'm just not business savvy enough to understand how split franchises could possibly work.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just take the Orioles. Suddenly we're going to find out the Orioles are going to play 41 games at home and then 41 in Charlotte or something like that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a mess. Hey, Tim, I know, speaking to a lot of fans, I mean, they don't want to spend their premium dollars on basically a non-competitive team on the field. Personally, I think it's unfair to the fans, but I understand the situation trying to, plan for the future. But what are your thoughts on that? The team's tanking.
Yeah, we're in a tough spot in baseball right now because these teams, led by these brilliant young general managers who are, emotionless, cold-blooded kind of guys. They're brilliant, all of them. But their thinking is, if we're not going to win, if we're not going to the playoffs, we might as well win 65 games and start to build like the Cubs did and the Astros did and build a long-term winner. But in the meantime, there's a lot of losing going on out there. There are a lot of bad teams out there, and there are a lot of teams in trouble at the gate, whether it's, the Orioles or the Royals or some other teams. It's a really tricky spot. And I understand if you're going to get good, at some point you have to get bad, but I think we have too many teams thinking about it, too many teams doing it, and too many teams looking at it like this is our only way out, when maybe there is another way out. But the sabermetrics and all the advanced metrics say, look, the numbers say you can't win. I say you can win if you do the job the right way.
And nobody's going to be as bad as the Orioles. They should probably just stop trying altogether.
Well, the Orioles are in big trouble. There's no doubt. I mean, they're going to set the major league record for home runs allowed. Just keep in mind, I want to say the 76 Orioles gave up like 90 home runs the whole season, and we're at 100 and almost 40 now. It's just unbelievable what this pitching staff has gone through already and will continue to go through. So a long, long, lean year ahead here for the Orioles.
Hey, Tim, I heard a story, though, the other day. Not a story. I heard a stat that there are 3 other teams on the way to surpassing the record of home runs allowed. So while the Orioles are going to blow past it and have the most this season, there are 3 other teams that are going to pass it too. But I wanted to ask you a question. There's nobody around that knows the Orioles as well as Tim Kurkjian. This is not a just Angelos regime issue. The same was true under Jerry Huffberger, Edward Bennett Williams, Eli Jacobs. This team has never really jumped in headfirst into the Latin American or international market. This year is different. How important is that market? And I know we got to pump the brakes a little bit. I don't think they're going to sign any superstars today, but this is going to be, Mike Elias says, the largest contingent of international signings the club has ever had.
Well, I believe it's still 34% of our major leaguers are Latin Americans, which is an enormous number and growing all the time. And I heard the other day, I haven't confirmed it, that over 50% of our minor leaguers are from Latin America. That just goes to show you how important that market is. And if you're not going to take part in that market, if you're not going to do your best to get as many players out of it, then you're simply not doing your job. The people in that region don't have nearly as much to do as the kids do here. They mostly play baseball and want to play baseball, so they're the place to go to look for talent. It's everywhere down there, whether it's Puerto Rico, the Dominican, Venezuela, it's everywhere. And it's every team's responsibility now to use their international money wisely, get as many players as they can, and it's good that the Orioles have decided we got to do more of this.
Tim, the way you described that, it almost harkened back to the first Negroes to come into Major League Baseball. The teams that languished behind in signing African-American players, they paid dearly for that they weren't as good as the teams that did bring in African-American players.
Right. Well, again, this is where teams have to be aggressive now. These new brilliant general managers, they're surrounding themselves with other young, brilliant people who have some really good ideas and some not so good ideas, but this is the wave of the future, that everyone is trying to get better. Everyone's got the same sabermetric information now. So the only way to separate anymore, two ways. We go back to the old way of doing things with real scouting. We watch players with our eyes. We use our best managers, coaches, instructors, veterans who can really teach. Or we do it the way the GMs are doing it now, and just sending people out looking for players in other countries, looking for different ways to get better. And this is the wave of the future. Everybody better get used to it.
Hey, Tim, analytics, understand it. Weaver did it in his way with his index cards. Myself coaching for 31 years, we did it. We did it a rudimentary way with a pencil, a piece of paper, and a ruler or a tongue depressor. But you see, and we talked. We were at the stadium in the visiting clubhouse, and we're talking, and we every 5 minutes there was a kid running in with a piece of paper. If you remember that. But my question is, they seem to be, if you don't agree with the analytical part of it, almost 100%, there's a good chance you're out. And we've seen, and I've seen it at every level, managers, scouts. They got rid of 60 scouts last year. Coaches, they are on the way out. And if you're, like I said, if you're not on board 100%, you're out the window. My question, who's going to be teaching these guys?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ross. Look, I like the analytics. I think there's a lot to be gained by it. I think there's a lot to learn from it. But when you take the human element out of the game, and we take our best coaches, managers, instructors, veteran guys who've been playing the game forever, and understand how to teach the game, and they no longer have value, which is basically the case now, I think we're making a tremendous mistake. I understand there has to be a blend between the veterans who actually played the game and can teach the game, and our young people who have some really good ideas. But to go all the way to the sabermetric side and take the human element out is a tremendous mistake. I just saw the Braves last night, or this weekend, and the Braves do things differently. Their major league coaching staff is filled with former major leaguers in their 40s,
Right.
50s, and 60s. And those are the guys who are teaching those young Braves players how to play. So when Dansby Swanson has a bad day and a bad week, he can look at Walt Weiss, and Walt Weiss can say, let me tell you what happened to me when I was with the 89A. Here's what I did. That's the invaluable information that you can't get from people who never played the game and people who are trying to teach you watching a video or looking at a computer. The only way to teach is to get out on the field and show them and then talk to them about experiences that they've had. And it's my real worry that we're getting way, way far away from that in baseball.
Yeah, you see it, the guys, watching the game, that's something that's not done very much now, and you'll see guys with iPads, computers in the dugout, if they're in the dugout, or upstairs watching it, looking at their last swing, and there was a situation that came up just recently in the minor leagues. a pitcher come in and the hitters go, they start looking at these books and they go, "What's this guy got?" And the coach goes, "He's standing out there. He's 90 feet away. Watch him throw, because it's not going to be the same every day or every time you go out." But that's just watching the game is just a very simple way to pick up a lot of things.
And we've gotten way away from that, Ross. I mean, you know this better than anyone. The Orioles were so good for all those years, especially in the 70s, because when the starting pitchers weren't pitching that day, they were sitting with each other watching the game. And we've gotten so far away from watching the game. Our media doesn't watch it like they used to because they have other duties. But when the players stop watching, that's when I really worry, as I am right now, because the problem is after your at-bat, they run down into the tunnel and look at their iPad about the at-bat they just had instead of maybe watching, all right, that's what the pitcher did to me that at-bat. Let's see what he's going to do to the next guy.
Right.
We've gotten so far away from that worries me tremendously.
I've got one for you, Tim. You've been around the game for a long time. We had almost an unspeakable tragedy yesterday with the passing of Tyler Skaggs. We talked about it a little bit earlier on the Ross Grimsley show. Have you ever been around a team that lost a player during the season?
I have not, and I hesitate to bring this up, but I was covering the Orioles when Tim Hewlett's son died.
I was just thinking of that. Yep.
It was the worst thing. Brady Anderson came up to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Nobody wants to play today. We can't play today." And they did. And it wasn't a teammate, but it was a teammate's son. It's an extension of the family.
Yep.
But I know how this works because I've written all these stories. When Darryl Kyle died in 2002, Eduardo Perez told me they naturally canceled the game that day, but they didn't want to play the next day either. They certainly weren't ready to play, but the reason they did was it was Darryl Kyle's turn to pitch that day, and he never missed a start. And they felt, as a tribute to him, we should play because this is Darryl Kyle's day to pitch. But he said it took us a long time to get over that. I know when Nick Adenhart died 10 years ago, it took a long time for the Angels to get over that, and the Marlins haven't even come close to getting over the death of Jose Fernandez. So it's just an awful thing. I was just thoroughly depressed all day yesterday after hearing that news. It was just so gut-wrenching.
Hey, Tim, real quick, we know, what's your impression on the future of the game? With the baseballs the way they are, with the shift the way they are, with the analytics the way they are, what do you think the future for this is?
Well, again, Ross, I'm a little bit worried. I think it's obvious now we have way too many home runs, way too many strikeouts, way too many walks, and not enough in between. And I don't think there's an easy fix to this, but I think we have to take a really long, hard look at the baseball first, because I've had enough people telling me this year the baseball is different. I've had people telling me it's harder. Others tell me it's smaller. The seams are not raised at all. There's no resistance. The ball's flying like it never has before. And I think what this has done is it has now told all the little guys, the Tommy LaStellas of the world, you can hit 30 homers with this ball. You can make the All-Star team. And I think if we do something with the ball, maybe it will show the little guys in the game, all right, I'm not going deep anymore. The ball just isn't carrying. It's still going to carry for the big guys. We're still going to have a ton of homers, but maybe we'll get back to some people in the game at least going up there saying, I have to shorten up and make contact. I have to hit the ball the other way. I have to hit and run. I have to bunt. I have to do all this stuff. This is what we've gotten away from, and I believe for the good of the game, this is what we need to get back to, is the way the game was played when Ross played. And trust me, I'm not just saying, boy, I wish Cal Ripken and George Brett and Robin Yount and Paul Molitor were still playing. I'm saying I think the game was actually played better back then. The players are better today. They're bigger, stronger, faster than ever. I don't think there's any doubt. But the game isn't played as well, and that worries me.
Tim, before we let you go, I just know how you think a little bit, And I know the irony isn't lost on you that the two $300 million players that signed this offseason, Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, while neither one's having a bad season, neither one made the All-Star team.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. Just another reminder of how difficult baseball can be. And there are no guarantees in this sport ever. Just when you think you have it figured out, you realize that you don't. And Bryce Harper has had a subpar season for him. He's over 100 strikeouts. He is laboring. Manny Machado had a great June, but you would think both of those would be on the All-Star team, and Bryce Harper wouldn't even be close to making the All-Star team, and they've got 12 more years of that. So I keep both of them. Plenty of time to figure this out, but just another reminder of the beauty of the game is it's so difficult to play.
Tim, always a great pleasure to talk to you.
Tim, one more thing. Now, I believe you're 5'6"?
5'5".
5'5". Anyway, I just want
in your platform shoes.
Hold on, I just want you to know this. I've played hoops with him. He can hold his own on the court. Just want you to know that, buddy.
I know that.
Well, thank you so much, Ross. That's great. I really enjoyed being with you guys today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to the Ross Grimsley Show. Ross Grimsley Show is always broadcasting in the Live Casino Hotel studios.
And, of course, today's show has been brought to you by Sliders. Ross, I know you got something fun coming up with Sliders.
On July the 8th, the All-Star Home Run Derby between 7 and 9, I'll be at Sliders. I'll be behind the bar as a guest bartender, serving drinks and talking baseball. I'm even buying the first 50 people who show up their first Fancy Clancy Pilsner. That's July 8th at Sliders Bar and Grill across the street from Camden Yards. You can go to PressBoxOnline.com/Ross for details. Please come out. I know I got my friends coming out.
Should be a good time.
Well, there's food and liquor.
What more
Drinks.
do you need, right?
No, absolutely, man.
Within eyesight of Camden Yards.
Yes.
Well,
anyways, hey.
Upcoming is the Glenn Clark Radio Show.
Indeed.
At 10 o'clock this morning.
Indeed.
Any guests that people should know about?
Well, if Ross wants to hang around, he's welcome to hang.
I may stay around a little bit.
15
yeah,
minutes of your life. We are going to chat with one of the greatest American champions, Joey Jaws Chestnut, in advance of this year's hot dog eating competition.
He's unbeatable.
When is that?
That is going to be Thursday, 4th of July, of course.
July 4th.
Absolutely.
And it's also going to be ESPN, I believe. It's the 30 for 30 tonight.
Did he win last year?
Yes, I believe he did.
He's won like about 8 years in a row.
No, he lost one year to
That's
this Matthew Stoney kid who came and just took the world by storm.
He's not that big a guy.
No, neither. And to be honest, like Kobayashi, Chestnut, all these
was
guys
a tiny guy.
That's
were
right.
not
That's who I
that
was
big. So there's actually a 30 for 30 tonight on ESPN about Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut. So it's a good time.
That's going to be a
Does
sport.
it go behind the scenes about how the hot dog eaters are after the
really?
We've talked with Joey about that a little bit ourselves. He's a great guy. We like talking with him every year we can.
He's one of my idols. One of my
Stan
idols.
the Fan, you'll sit in as well for
We'll
5
have to get an
words
autographed
or
hot
less.
dog.
All right.
And
Get him to sign a hot dog.
maybe more. Maybe more.
National
guys.
Hot Dog Day is coming up, July the 17th.
Your favorite day of the
National
year.
Hot Dog
Ooh.
Day. All right. That's a wrap for the Ross Grimsley Show.
Oh, yeah.
Ross will be back next Tuesday.
Make sure to send your texts to us. You can get me on Twitter on rgrimsley2.
Indeed.
Let us know what you think of the show, what we can possibly talk about
Share
for you.
it. Like and share it on
absolutely.
Facebook Live.